Hi, this is Yeho. I'm a Christian Friday. Today I want to talk about something little different. Usually I talk about markets or macro analysis, but today I want to talk about my philosophy, the way I see the future. After doing this podcast for about a year, I realized something. My thinking is built around three ideas: time, uncertainty, and voice. These three things form the foundation of how I understand the world. First, let's start though with the big picture. I believe AI is essentially an abundance machine. It's dramatically increased efficiency. It increased productivity, and in simple terms, it creates oversupply. As AI improved the value of many things, we move closer and closer to zero. Data processing, information organization, writing, analysis. All of these things become extremely cheap. In the sense, AI creates a strong deflationary pressure. But when information becomes abundant, something else becomes available, not the data itself, but interpretation. The ability to find meaning in a massive amount of information, the ability to make a judgment. And this is where my three ideas come in: time and uncertainty and bias. Let's start with time. I believe the real asset people have is not money, it's time. We often talk about living 100 years, but the real question is this: how do you allocate those 100 years? Many people spend most of their time logged into the work, but the most important kind of time is free time, time that you can invest however you want. I can this time investment. In my own thinking, I estimate the average value of the time at about 33 yen per minute. That means every minute of your life has an average economic value. So if you're watching TikTok or scrolling through YouTube, you are basically spend 33 yen per minute. The real question becomes this: it's what you are doing creating more than 33 yen of value per minute. For example, if you someone earns 5,000 yen per hour, that's about 83 yen per minute. So they are producing more variables than the average. But for enterprises or creators, the situation is different. Sometimes the work you do has zero visible value right now. But if it works, it might become 100 yen per minute, 300 yen per minute, or even much more. So the key question becomes: where are you investing your time? To create something truly valuable, you need innovation. But innovation comes from the one thing: freedom. And freedom means something very simple. It means idle time, time where you are not focused, not forced to do something. Without that kind of time, innovation cannot happen. Personally, I believe one of the most important periods for time investment is between the age of 30 and 35. At that point, the people usually have experience, industry knowledge, and pattern recognition. In the United States, there is a popular idea that success comes from starting companies in your early 20s. But if you look closely, many successful investors and enterprises um, make their biggest decision in their early 13s because that from experience means independence. Now, let's talk about a second idea: uncertainty. I believe growth can be described very simple. Growth equal height much food by time. Time is a horizon axis, um, horizontal axis. Height is the vertical axis. Um, and what does height represent? It represents unpredictability. In other words, volatility. Volatility. Most careers and produce a linear returns. Your salary grows gradually. 1 million, the 1.2 million, the 1.5 million, predictable. But the biggest outcome in life are non-linear. They appear suddenly, like steps. Those kind of the outcome usually come from investing time in the unpredictable areas. Interestingly, things people often doubt, the things people say, does that really matter, or is that useful? And those areas often contain the highest variety, which means they have the greatest potential. In my view, big returns don't come from the unknown, and that comes from the unknown. And finally, they said IDM voice. I believe people are influenced by voice more than anything else. When we say someone has decided, what actually happened? They made the wrong decision, but the decision was still made by them. So, what influenced the decision? Usually, it was someone else's suggestion, and the suggestion comes through voice. People often think decisions come from the data or text, but in reality, most human decisions are influenced by the voice and the narrative. That's why things like phone calls and radio and podcasts are extremely powerful. There's also something interesting about AI. AI can detect and uh, correlations, and but it cannot truly understand causality. AI can say when A happens, B tends to happen, but it cannot truly explain why something happened. Because causality is essentially a story that human construct. In reality, the world may only contain correlations. Human add the meaning to those correlations. We create a narrative, and those narrative becomes cultural explanations. So the ability to observe a certain world, interpret it, and by build a narrative, and deliver that narrative through voice, becomes extremely vulnerable in the AI era. Another implication is the rise of individuals. Large organizations cannot easily make bond predictions. They require evidence, accountability, and proof. But individuals can say, maybe think this is happening. In a world where uncertainty is increasing, a small and aggressive actors may outperform large slow organizations. AI will create abundance, but if people feel complete abundance, they may stop thriving. So systems often create artificial uncertainty, sometimes through politics, sometimes through geopolitics, sometimes through supply constraints. Physical checkpoints like the Straits of Hormuz, the Suez Canal, or the Panama Canal can limit abundance. Finally, let's return to voice. Someone once described voice as concentrate of the contents like a syrup. Because a voice can become anything, it can become a text, it can become a video, it can become article. Voice is a low source of contents, and it is also the fastest format out of it. So my philosophy can be summarized very simply. Time and uncertainty, a voice. AI will create human free time. The real question will be, where will people invest the time? My answer is that invest time is unknown. And when you discover insight here, deliver them through the voice. Because in the AI age, voice may become one of the most powerful ways to influence human judgment. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed the perspective, Please follow the podcast. I'll see you again tomorrow.